Intuitively, we join our resources with others as we get more emotionally involved in the group, and we begin to care about the collective experience as much as we care about our own. I am looking through about 7.5 years of talks and newsletter articles and all these bits of wisdom as I pull together this Navigating Life, this spiritual lane. And I'm discovering some ideas and some lessons that I want to repeat, that they were really good, and I think they're perfect for this moment. And my very first lesson that I gave back at the inaugural Sunday in the Blind Tiger in Ybor City is one that I find important enough to share again. And it's perfect for this Sunday with our annual membership meeting Sunday, a day when we focus on the importance of being in community. And community, I find, is very, very important. At least it is for me as I'm driving this highway of life. Like, I really want to know that I have other people beside me, a company of love, as Emily sang about. And this lesson title is called Put Your Whole Self In Again. So today I want to talk about the hokey pokey. Okay, so maybe that is what life is all about, right? So we all have a hokey pokey memory. Okay, so I grew up in Colorado, going to my early elementary school years in a place where there was a lot of inclement weather, where we couldn't get out on the playground and play. And I remember our PE teacher had the entire class in the gym, and we had to stand in a big circle. And in the back of the room was a little record player with a scratchy record. I'm really showing my age. And she was trying to get all the energy out of our little 8-year-old bodies, right? So as the music began to play, it was a bit scratchy, and we began the ritual of putting our right hand in, putting our right hand in, putting our right hand in, and shaking it all about. And then we would do the hokey pokey, and we would turn ourselves about. And for that moment, it really was what it was all about, right? And my favorite part of the hokey pokey was when we got to put our whole selves in, our whole selves out, our whole selves in, and we shake it all about, and we're just wildly dancing, because at 8, you have no self-consciousness whatsoever. You are totally in, right? So my question is, when's the last time you put your whole self in? And when have you taken your whole self out of a thing? I think it's worth exploring. So as any good minister would do, I tried to find the meaning and the origin of the hokey pokey. And what I will tell you is that there's no real consensus on where it came from. Some of the versions of this go back to, I think, the 1850s in England. And many people believe that the words hokey pokey are a cute way of saying hocus pocus, or a subtle reference to magic, and some believing it was actually a nod to the Catholic Church or the Church of England. No one knows for sure, but for our purposes here today, I just kind of want to break the rhyme down. So actually, that's one of the most fun parts of ministry, is trying to find spiritual lessons and truth in different things, like movies and songs and life stuff. And it's just the way kind of my mind works. I'm always looking for the spiritual pattern in things. And I try to work these analogies in to kind of up my entertainment factor, right? Because I'm trying to keep y'all awake. So back to the hokey pokey. So why don't we always put our whole selves in? Why don't we do that? I think it's self-protection, right? We're trying to protect ourselves from rejection or disappointment. Does that kind of ring true for you too, right? So as we talk about the different lines of the songs, first we put the right hand in. Okay, so now we know that our right hand is powered by the left brain, right? So the right hand is the hand of logic. It's the hand of analytical thinking. It's the hand of language. So the first thing we put in, it makes sense that that's the hand we would stick in first. That sounds like, let me just check this place out. Let me just kind of I want to think about it. I want to see how it fits with me. Let me ask questions. Let me analyze the validity of a thing. Let me put my right hand in and shake it all about. I'll do the hokey pokey and see what kind of magic comes out of this thing that might turn me about. That's what sticking my right hand in is about. So then what's the left hand? If the right hand going in leads us to want to get more involved, then maybe we will stick our left hand in, dominated by our right brain, the side that is creative, emotional, intuitive. We put our left hand into a situation and we give our talents because our hearts are involved now. Our emotional side, intuitively, we join our resources with others as we get more emotionally involved in the group, and we begin to care about the collective experience as much as we care about our own experience. And we do the hokey pokey and we feel the magic of all of that and see if it turns us about in an even deeper level. We kind of tiptoe in one level at a time. And what do we want? What do we want? Why do we do that? We kind of lean back. We kind of take a wait and see attitude. But I think it's that habit of holding ourselves back that we question here, because spiritual truth makes us question it. Ernest Holmes said this in the book, How to Change Your Life. And by the way, if you're taking the class, How to Change Your Life is a book that we're going to look at in the class. Ernest Holmes says this. He says, good is at the root of everything, regardless of its seeming absence. But this good must be recognized, since there is but one spirit, and this spirit is in you and in everything. Then everywhere you go, you will meet this spirit. You will meet spirit in people, in places, and in things. This one spirit, which manifests itself in and through all, including yourself, automatically adjusts parts to the whole. Therefore, you may accept with positive certainty that the spirit within you does go before you and prepares your way. He says accepting with positive certainty. That sounds a lot like faith, right? We were talking about that a few weeks ago, about it being our steering wheel and not our spare tire. Accepting with positive certainty. So I think what Holmes is saying is that since spirit within you is going before you and preparing your way, and since all you will ever interact with in life is spirit itself, why don't you put your whole self in and shake it all about, for that matter? What I know is that the full power of life only comes into play when we put our whole selves in. So I want to tell you a story, and it may be familiar to you, about someone putting their whole self in. So how many of you know who Selena Gomez is? If you don't, you're under a rock, because she, come on out. It's all right out here. It's all spirit. She's very popular. She's a popular actor and singer, and she's young. She's talented. She's so relevant. She was nominated this year for her roles in Only Murders in the Building and Amelia Perez. So that's the Selena Gomez we're talking about. She's really getting a lot of press these days. So about 12 years ago, Selena Gomez was diagnosed with lupus, an autoimmune disease, and it began to impact her internal organs. And she was extremely fatigued. Her kidneys had begun to fail, but she pressed on in her career as a singer and actor. She just kind of refused to give in. In an interview, she actually said that she refused to accept her diagnosis and carried on her life in the public eye without acknowledging it or disclosing it to anyone. However, her kidneys finally began to get the best of her, basically. And she fell into this deep depression and withdrew for almost 6 months out of the public eye. And even her roommate at the time, a young woman named Francia Reza, couldn't get her to engage. But Reza just kind of allowed Selena Gomez to be. But behind the scenes, unbeknownst to Francia, Selena's entire family was being tested to see if they were a match for donating a kidney to Selena. And when Francia heard of this, she immediately stepped forward and said, "Let me be tested. Let me do this for you." And she got prepped to be her kidney donor, and the surgery and the recovery was successful, and Selena went back out in the public eye, and now we know what became of that. Strong and radiant. And this story is remarkable only because someone stepped forward and put her whole self in, literally, to make a difference. And I know this was on the news because Selena is famous and everything, but I think we can agree that every time we hear a story where someone unbelievably puts their whole self in, we're impressed. No matter who the story is about, it's a remarkable one. It's noticeable when someone enters a situation and puts their whole self in immediately. Can you think of someone doing that in your own life right now? Like, wow, they are really getting involved. We kind of expect a newcomer to hold themselves back, put their right hand in their left hand, but kind of hold themselves back and kind of tiptoe in. But in Francia's case, she knew she could matter in that experience. And I think when we hear the story, we're invited to realize that everyone matters, that we matter. Oprah Winfrey, if you remember, she did her show forever. And one of the ending wisdom that she had was that after interviewing hundreds and hundreds of people, the truth is that people only want to know that they matter, that they matter. And I think the Hokey Pokey teaches us that not only do we matter, our whole selves matter. Not just our right hand where we can think about and understand, not just our left hand where we can, create and nurture and give and receive, but our whole selves. How would your life be different if you started showing up in absolutely a full way to everything that you do? In the beginning of new things, think about your first day on a job, at the beginning. That's when we have the greatest opening to put our whole selves in. You remember when you were interviewing for the job and you were so excited and you were planning what to wear and daydreaming about the bigger paycheck and the new coworkers and the project? In those first few days, we can show up fully present. Our energy is there, our mind is there, our emotions are there. We just care, we know we matter. But what happens over time? Things change. It's just human nature. We begin to withdraw our enthusiasm. We get disappointed with people and circumstances when they don't match our expectations, and we lose faith in ourselves as others shift their attention to other situations and other people. We begin to doubt our choices, and we start to do that next thing in the song. We put our whole selves out. Sometimes we remove ourselves one hand at a time, but sometimes we just withdraw. We allow our intention and our energy to slowly ebb out of things. But it is in those moments when we realize that we've withdrawn our whole selves that we are once again at choice. What if in that moment we realize that the entire situation is divinely appointed? You're there for a reason. What if we remember that we are spirit in form and that our consciousness has called forth this situation for our growth, this very relationship, this very job, this very circumstance, to help us remember our divinity, our power, to help us wake up to the ideas of spirituality and oneness, to remind us of our inherent nature? What if in that moment we chose to stay and do the work? What if we chose to follow the next line in the song and put our whole selves back in and start to shake it all about? What if shaking it all about is our opportunity to do something different? It's an invitation to kind of shake off the dust of self-protective habits and take a fresh look at our personal power in the situation again. I think putting our whole selves back in and shaking it all about is when the magic in life really, really happens. It's when the hocus pocus or the hokey pokey comes flooding in. When our whole selves are back in, we are living in the awareness, the mindful awareness. I've chosen this and I know that I matter. My presence matters. My energy matters. My choices matter. My gifts matter. Even my kidney could matter, right? We just have to fully show up. And when we make that choice to fully show up, to put our energy into the mix, Spirit floods in behind us with all the energy of life. It follows our intention. The divine energy of the all is directed into whatever circumstances we put our whole selves in. And I believe that is how we change our individual lives. I believe that is how we collectively continue to evolve this community. I'm very interested in how we use this teaching for our whole spiritual family. You know, when we have these annual meetings every year, I consistently hear from all of you that you want this place to grow. Look around you, it's growing. More people, more tithes and offerings, more things to do, more social activities, more. And my job as your spiritual leader is to join you in fulfilling your vision for your desired spiritual center. I want to help you create the kind of community that you want to be in on this highway of life. We're kind of like a convoy of vehicles on a road trip together, right? We have a mantra around here that says, love who shows up. Love who shows up. That means here at the center, we love who shows up. But even in your individual lives, I want you to consider that to be a mantra. Love who shows up. Pay attention who pulls up beside you in your car on the highway of life, decides to match your pace and hang out. They are present for a reason. Love who shows up. We have a weekly opportunity to come together to learn more about this philosophy, yes, but also to continue in communing with Spirit in worship, in fellowship with each other. We're here to find a friend. We're here to offer support and a listening heart. As long as there have been human beings, there has been a time for ritual and feasting, otherwise known as pizza, and God. It's in our inherent makeup as a human being to participate in these types of communities. Our ancient ancestors did it. Our more recent ancestors did it. Our grandparents and likely our parents did what we do. It might have looked very different from time to time, I will give you that. But today in our modern lives, we've chosen to do these kinds of things here together. And here is where the hokey pokey comes into our conversation about our spiritual home. What are you putting in? Are you putting your right hand in? How about your left hand? Do your feet get involved too? What would it take to inspire you to put your whole self in? And for many of you, for you to put your whole self back in again, right? I think you hired me almost 8 years ago to put my whole self in, to help you become and create the community that you really desired. And what would happen if every one of us put our whole selves in to this venture that we are on? What if we made a full commitment to be here together every Sunday that we're in town? What if we all joined together to fully support this community and whatever it takes to be as fabulous as it can be? What if we sang loudly and hugged tightly and ate joyously? What if we came together to love God, to love each other, and most importantly, to love ourselves more fully? Because that's what we're here for. Ernest Holmes said this in his book, Can We Talk to God? He said, there is something in us that longs for sympathetic understanding, the kindly response, the sense of a presence which is warm, pulsating, and colorful. We must have it, and I sense that as we meet each other in love and friendship, in the warmth of a handshake and in good fellowship, it is God. So what he's saying is that we long for others to put their whole selves in with us. He says that we long for others to understand and respond kindly and show up colorfully, warmly, and full of life. And when we encounter that, we know that we are encountering God itself showing up in each other. You matter. You matter. Your time and talent and treasure matter to this community. If you are not physically here, you are missed. When I come up and say, I have missed you, it's because I have missed you. When other people say, we missed you, it's because when you were here, we were going, where's so-and-so? We haven't seen her. We miss her, right? But most importantly, when you are present and you show up fully, warmly, and colorfully and full of life, you are God showing up amongst us. But here's what I know. We're each individuals, aren't we? We're each looking for something a little different in a spiritual home than the person sitting next to us. Our philosophy is teaching that our thoughts co-create our reality, and what we think about, we bring about. So as I close my talk today, I want to lead us in a moment of meditation for us to get closer and clear on what we want to create together in 2025. Because if we're individually clear on what we mentally desire in a spiritual center, we can work together to co-create with the divine intelligence to make our reality on the physical level real. Because you see, your thoughts matter, your actions matter, your contributions matter, because you matter. You matter. Will you join me in prayer this morning? Here is what I know. What I know is that we hold in our consciousness a holy idea for this place as we move forward together. I know that Spirit infuses our intention with all the power of the universe, and that as we create for ourselves as individuals, we create for this community, and this community joins the creation of love and joy for the whole world that we live in. And I know that this is powerful, and this is protective, and this is impactful, and it matters. And so as we put our whole selves in, the magic of the universe works with us to manifest our deepest desires. I let it go, I let it be, and so it is.